many of you have said to me, oh well, can you use it on smaller works? This was only about 18 inches, so it's about as small as we want to go probably with the sponge roller, although we could use it on smaller just for background. Let's see what we can do on this little interior cafe scene, restaurant scene, with the sponge rollers. It's a very blurred photograph, a very blurred scene. As you can see here, I've only taken a part of a photograph from somewhere else and shoved a few extra bits into it. What I want really is the atmosphere. I want a fairly impressionist piece. So let's see if we can get that lovely little atmospheric piece with a small canvas like this and using the sponge rollers. Being smaller, the camera's going to be a little bit closer, so you might be able to see a bit more detail of what the roller does as well. Now, the technique I tend to use is to work from my midtones down to the darks and then come back up to the lights. So we'll start with all of these reds and purples and pinks here, really trying to pull them out, even some greener tints coming in to hold it all together. We want the whole thing to be coherent, so one colour comes into another which unites it. Then we're going to work right down to the darks, as I say, and back upwards and out through these colours to the whites at the very end with a brush. So we're going to do the atmosphere and the light effects with the sponge roller, and then finish off with a brush for pulling out some details and just salient points. Standard sponge roller, voila. Just damp that first of all, just dunk it in the water and give it a little bit of dampness. It doesn't want to be too wet, otherwise the paint goes everywhere. And I should be using a nice big flat for picking up the paint and mixing it down in my palette here. To remind you of how I do that, let's just pick up the first colour, for instance, from here. I want to take some alizarin crimson in this case, a little bit of yellow ochre into that, a little bit of water, not too much, just enough to make it pliable if you like. And this is the trick: roll your sponge roller through your brush to use all the paint up, and it helps to even it out on the sponge roller as well. That's it, we're ready to go. All I've got to do is just keep mixing in there, gradually going lighter and lighter, or darker and darker, whichever I want to do. And I only need to change or wash the sponge roller when I'm changing colour, but when it's not, especially when I'm going to a lighter colour. Normally we can just keep on mixing into that one area for at least 3 or 4 colours. Right, back to the real thing. Pick up the roller and let's have a look where this colour's coming in. We'll test the colour first of all, which is not far off that. And in fact this colour it pervades almost through the whole painting. So in fact I'm going to be using this colour quite a lot by the look of it. And I'm just going to leave 1 or 2 lighter areas here and there, just so I know where my drawing is before I lose the whole thing. But you know, we could almost work as a coloured ground into this. And the harder I press, then the more even my texturing is going to be, and I can make it thinner by having less on the roller, or more by having more on the roller, or thinner paint on the roller, or whatever. Find these various shapes, and just so I remember where they are. I'd be tempted, I can just see the drawing underneath, I'm tempted to go over the whole thing with a roller straight away in this case, because I could just give it an even ground. If I can see my drawing through, that's all that matters, then I can work the colours over onto that. As I say, it gives it a wonderful unity and nice coherence. This is almost like a burnt sienna, isn't it, with the alizarin crimson and the yellow ochre in this case. Yeah. I've made this one a little bit thinner, you see, so I can see through this coat to the drawing underneath. You know where I am then. Some of these are going to be slightly warmer. Because I've got the drawing there, I can see it, I'm going to go right over that bit. Just let that hint through there, because when I put the dark on, I want this dark to hint through. I want the dark to let this colour hint through, just glow through slightly. I'm going to go over where the light is with a thin coat, so I'll let the paint run right down on the roller, and I'm going to go over this whole lamp area, giving a little bit of texture as well. You see you can get the texture with the roller by going one over itself. Now I've got a bit lighter, I can go over these light areas here because I can see where they are underneath now. I just want to get the whole of this mapped in with this colour, but I am, even though it's, you think, what's he going over the whole thing for, what's the point? It is giving me a texture, so it is feeling around these forms. You see I'm moving the roller constantly around the forms anyway. A bit more of that same colour. Thin it down a bit again because I've got a nice thin coat of it. So starting off, roll my roller through my brush, very quick, very rapid technique, right up and through here. That colour's coming down into there as well. I can see my drawing underneath, look. So when I come back in with the lighter colours, I can start to pick each of these out. Right through there. There's more purple in the hair than there's brown. That brown comes around here though, right up here. And I can coat this very, very quickly. Use it for landscapes as well. You know, one of my last videos for you wasn't showing you how to do all of this part with the roller, it was more just showing you different examples of how the sponge roller can be used for doing undersea scenes, landscapes, figures in streets, figures in interiors. I've done all sorts of paintings for this, snow scenes, even one particular one, a London scene which is just sold. You'd be surprised how versatile this technique can be. And I say it covers very, very rapidly, as you can see. Right through here and there. As long as I can see my drawing underneath, just glowing through here, that's all that matters. And of course, where I put a double coat on, it's like watercolour. If you go over one piece you've already done, well, this canvas is floppy. If you go over a piece of what you've already done, then it will go one tone darker, won't it? Just like a watercolour. So when I'm doing this, I'm very aware of going over one part or over another part. A second time, I'm going to want more of this alizarin crimson in a moment into here. Start actually going through the drawing of the roller. Just about got all I want done with this colour now. See, I've brought the canvas right forward on the easel because I don't want to have edges that aren't coated as well. Just go across there with a very light coat of it. You can smudge with the roller this way as well, look. If you just blend things in with the roller that way too, it hasn't just got to be used rolling, you can use the edge of the roller, the core of the roller to make marks. If you wish a line like that, look. Just put a bit more onto it. You need the paint a bit wetter for that job, but right, I'm going to rub down into there, just come around their heads there. Do make sure that you cover up all of the white canvas, though, the pores of the canvas, the weave of the canvas, because it looks funny like a snow effect if you don't. You can use that later when we let it glow through another colour, as in broken colour, but right now we want to, we need to make sure this is covered. Right, I'm going to change colour slightly. I'm going to put a bit more of that alizarin crimson and a wee touch of deep, cadmium deep. Mix up the paint, run my roller through it, and let's see where the reds are coming. It's just behind here, for instance, this one here. And I can let one colour come over another slightly, as I say. We can let one colour glow through another to give a lovely coherence of the light. So I can rub that in there. So we can use the roller flat, or we can use it by rubbing it as well. These rollers will last a fair time, but obviously in big canvases like I'm doing, knocks it out of them, especially when you rub this way, it takes it out of them a bit. But I'll usually get 4 or 5 big paintings out of a roller, which isn't bad. A bit wetter now, I'm going to put a thinner coat on, so I'm going to put more water with it. So I've got some control not only with the amount of paint on the roller, but also a lot of light across this bit shortly here. Already we can just start to see forms that I'm picking up on appearing. You must cover up this the canvas itself, so make sure that you get that roller well into the. And I'm going to go very, very thin. I just want a slight glazing over where I'm going to make it much lighter. Over this lady here, these two. That's going to be totally dark there, but I'm just going to make a very thin coat over there just to fill the pores of the canvas, and just going to show you how we can get all this background effects of light done. A little bit more yellow ochre into that now. So you see, I hadn't had to wash my sponge roller or the palette or anything else yet. I've just been using the same the same mixes, just blending into them for the minute. Totally lost the white canvas now, which is my main object at this stage. Now let's start working with that yellow ochre a bit more. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker and just start to work into the areas where the yellow ochre is more predominant. You see I'm moving the textures of the roller now more. Start to find the textures of these areas. Use your fingertip, just want to blend something a little. There's no hard fast rules in this. Whatever works, do it. Got her face just show. All I want is to get the impression, so this would be a very good technique. I mean, if we actually could settle this stuff up in situ, if we were painting plein air or in situ, this would be a very good way to work. See, now we're just really starting to get the feeling of the atmosphere of the background. You can almost see the people coming out of it already, look. That's our arm there, the other arm and chest coming in here. Face a bit more. This arm coming through here. Much lighter across there. A bit green there, we'll put some green in there in a minute. Right, talking about green, that's what we need to do next. I'm going to take a slight tint of emerald into that, and it's straight back into the same colour, because I want to take this emerald down to be a bit more yellowy, so by chance it just happens to work. It's lovely. I just love working so fast this way, fluid, to get these effects. And you can't get these effects with a brush the same way. Light glowing over things back here. Get some more of that lovely colour. I have a very large palette of colours, but I don't use them all at once, and I can mix almost any of them. That is, other than the primaries and some of the brighter mixtures of secondaries and so on. I mean, you can't make yellows, you can't make, but you can make colour hues of them, of course you can. You can tint those down, you can blend them together. So almost any colour I can make with basic colours if I wanted to. But why? If I've got them there, it's so much more exciting to be able to do it straight away than I am now with pre-mixed colours. So much quicker, and I don't consider it cheating. Why do I have to mix all my own? I have to choose these colours carefully, and I still have to mix them or blend them together. So anybody would say, well, you've got a palette, why don't you mix your colours? Why do you use so many colours? But I don't. I only use the colours I actually need when I need them. And you know, so often I find that it is great fun that the objects almost just appear on their own. I don't have to. Some of the characters that seem to come out of my paintings like this, I don't have to think about them too much. They want to be nice and loose and just work. So this little painting might be quite useful to some of you who are afraid of having a go at this. Think, oh God, I couldn't do it on a smaller painting, I'm not going to do great big ones like he does. It's only a small canvas, why not give it a try? You're not going to lose anything but a small canvas. And then you can paint over it if you don't like it. And the beauty of this is, of course, that we can come back in with brushes anyway. So I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be showing you how we're going to use the brushes to pull it together at the end. It's not just all done with the roller. Right, now we're going to some light purple. So I still haven't had to clean my brush or clean my palette or the roller. I'm managing to work one colour in with another so that they all are nice and coherent. These effects behind the darks and silhouetting. I'm working on a lot of these negative colours as I gradually come up with these. I like that effect of light in those colours already, you know, anyway. Try and avoid canvas showing because it will start, the white canvas will start to be messy now, it'll start to show through. So I can always come back with a brush and glaze some in if that's a problem. Paint. I have to be a little bit cleaner now with my paint, so we've got to put on fairly thick coats of very heavy paint now to get these darks to really work. So we're not speed painting, but actually it's a very rapid way, isn't it? Small work like this. Good one for a demo, this really. And this ghostly apparition comes before us. We start to see the shapes of people, and okay, we can start now to work towards the lighter colours. So I've got my darker colours in, although I'm going to probably need to just tidy these up a bit later. So now I'm going to go and wash my roller and the... Okay, then at this stage, let's start mixing some more. We're going to come back to our medium tones coming out of the light ones now. So the first colour I'm going to want is an orange, and then I'm going to work towards the yellows, gradually up from the warmer yellows to cooler yellows, and then to the whites at the end, and then I go back in with the brushes. So a reminder back here, we'll start off with these oranges. Let's have a little bit of this lovely cadmium orange here. And my roller has now been washed, so I've dried it out with a paper towel. I don't want it too wet, otherwise the water will just go over everything. Now very, very gently now, I'm going to just take that through it, and I'm going to have a thinner, slightly thinner coats at first. See how I went through the brush first there. Right, just starting to build up my mid-tones to my lights now then. To feel these orange lights here. Don't worry if you get a little bit of a lump on the roller occasionally, because it'll be quite effective. You can get these effects of light coming from it. Just going to build up these oranges, this reflected here, through there a bit. When we put the whites on shortly, or the lighter colours, this is going to really start to make more sense. At the moment we're just beginning. Those waiters have more orange faces back there, and a little bit down behind them. Around her head certainly there's more orange here. There, okay, now lighter still. So I'm going to bring up some lighter yellow into that. So I'll take some cadmium yellow and a bit of white. I'm going to add a little bit of magenta to that yet. I want it a bit creamer, a bit pinker, I mean, sorry. A little bit pinker here. There we go. Don't want it too bright yet. Just want background effects. Just a bit more of that, with a bit more pink in there. There we go. That's nice. That's fun. There we go. Look how pink that is. That's really glowing there and giving us this lovely effect of the light. And the uneven textures of the roller also assist. Waiters that are much, much lighter on the backs of their shoulders, coming down there. And some of it I'll have to do with a brush because it's got to be a bit more detailed. Just want to indicate all this stuff. I'm not trying to paint in detail. Go away from that idea of detail. Get the right colours in the right places and the right shapes, relevant one to another. Something I keep saying, it's so easy. When you look at it that way, it makes painting, it simplifies painting so much. Now, go towards the lighter colours still. I'm going to wash my palette out. I'm going to wash my brush because the roller hasn't got too much paint on it. I'm going to go to a much lighter yellow now. Start using white with a little touch of lemon yellow in. So for a gentleman who complained that I didn't show enough of the sponge roller the other day, when merely showing, or felt I was merely showing the variety of work that could be done, could have got plenty of films on me using these rollers now, but I don't think he'd looked at the rest of the site yet. This one, a simple little demonstration, but it'll take you through everything, won't it? So you've got what you wanted now, I hope. If you even see this, if you bothered to go back and look. Let's hope you did. I want to know when to come in with, to leave something for a brush, or go as far as I can with these rollers every time. I want to put just a bit more solid paint into here later, so I'll come back with brushes into this. Because to be honest, I mean, we've not done badly. We've got most of it actually established now. Right, I'm going to come back in with white as my final coats of using the sponge roller. Just pure white now, as pure as I'm going to go without using the brush. Let's really see what we get with that. Now we start to bring out the textures, and so I want it to be a little bit smoother now, so I'm going to have to come back with my brushes shortly. Too much there, the roller was just a bit too much. So we're just finishing off now then with the whites, the lightest colours. So it could be more detailed if I could use a new roller, but I just want to tidy up these little bits of light here and there, highlights, before I go on with the brush. And that's what we're going to do now, the brush next. Enjoy seeing how that works. Right, well, time to work on with the brushes then. So we start to slab in some more colours, and I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to work from my lighter colours downwards straight away. So I want to really start to, so we're still putting in at the moment highlights and the lighter colours in and around the softer sponge roller colours from earlier. Get these lovely effects. And I just love this effect of these bright lights coming ahead of these. And you can use glazes. I'm going to take a bit of water now and just thin this down to here as a glaze. You can see how it just blends in, so any time we can change the textures, bright colours, bright places, bright shapes, relevant one to another, over and over again. I try to install that as an idea to paint that way, and it does work. It's called my jigsaw method. All we've got to do is do it that way and the paintings just appear. I'll place some Prussian blue into there in a minute as well. That'll you get things going too. Gorgeous colours. You're enjoying, I am. Just a few brush strokes to hint at things. Let the eye do the work. Let the viewer see what they want to see. Let them make things up a bit. Don't try and dot too many I's and cross too many T's. Give the viewer a chance to enjoy looking around the painting and finding things like this. Absolutely lovely. And indicate. So we just start to see a glass or a plate or something shiny. Glass there, you see, just happening. We don't overdo it. Let's have a look at these lovely colours up here. We've got beautiful light oranges and pinks. What's to say? I can't say too much because it's better that you see what I'm doing and we talk about it too much. I don't want to overdo it, just want to hint out, as I say, hint at these things here in the background, just find them and give an impression of them. So, do we need to do much more? I don't think so. I think we've almost got our colours. I'm almost happy with that as it is. I don't want to do too much more. Gives you an idea just how loose we can paint this way. I don't want to fiddle too much now. I'm going to wreck it because it's lovely loose that it is. So I think we'll just have to see something quickly. Oh, yes, something comes on. So I'll just put a little bit more cool. I'll take some of that very light turquoise and just see if I can just play a little bit of that very light turquoise back here a bit amongst these greens. There we go. Little fun, speedy, loose piece of work for you. just demonstrating again use of sponge roller, so that hopefully you can have some fun as well and pick an impression. Now with a coat of varnish, we start to see the colours a bit more, but there's a bit of glare. So use of the sponge roller very loosely then, and then the brush just to put it together afterwards.